There are 339 books in the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge, and I'm going to read all of them, and I mean every single last one of them. The Reading Challenge includes all of the books that Rory Gilmore read or talked about during the run of the highly popular mid-2000s TV series Gilmore Girls. Now, to put an additional spin on the challenge, I'm going to read the books in random order, so stay until the end of the video where we spin the wheel to find out what our next book in the challenge is going to be. Hi guys, welcome back to the challenge. Today we have book 8 in the challenge, which is Social Origins of Dictatorships and Democracies by Barrington. So this one is a political science book. It's written in the late 1960s. And it's a rather big book. It was quite hard for me to get through, actually. I would say it's a school book, it's a textbook more than anything. So I would assume that Rory Gilmore read this book while at her studies, I guess either at Yale or while still being at Chilton, I would assume. But as always, do let me know in the comments below if you do know where or when she talked about this book in the series. So this book is an attempt to find out the factors within a society that would push a society rather towards democracy or will push a society towards dictatorship. And it's very political, it's a textbook, it's research. And because this is a textbook, I'm not going too much into the contents of the book itself. I believe that would be rather boring, but I do want to mention some things around the book and around the writing process that I found very interesting learning about. I also want to mention that this book was not only a challenge for me to read because it is so long, because it is a textbook, it's also because the nature of the content is not something that interests me usually. I've never been very much interested in politics. And this whole book basically is the research of the politics of a number of countries over a long period of time. So it's really not for me, but I did give it a try. I did my best with it. So yeah, there we go. So one of the very interesting things about this book actually is how much work and research went into it. So the author Barrington apparently spent more than 10 years of his life investing in that book and into that research. What also is interesting here is that he originally planned for the scope to be much broader, much wider. So he originally planned to have this book and this research about a lot more countries than are now in the book mentioned. So he is now in the book researching the, political background and the sociological background of the political system of six countries. And he originally planned there to be a lot more countries researched in his book, but he did at some point come to the conclusion that it's just going to be too much work and he's never going to be able to finish this book. And as he was working on the book, as he was writing this book and research, things changed within these countries. So he had to keep, continuing his research while at the same time, writing it down and writing his book. And that is one of the very astonishing things that I feel about this book, is not only that he at some point realized, oh, I have to limit my scope here, but at the same time, he is very open in communicating where he feels that his research either is too narrow or too limited in scope to show a clear, undeniable conclusion of his research. And he also, even in the beginning, in the preface of the book, he mentions very clearly, okay, these are the limits of the book. This topic, I could not go too much into it. Okay, here I'm researching that and that topic, but there may be a chance for that to be a little bit biased towards that direction because of this and this. So he is very honest about where he feels that his own research may lack certain things, or where his own research just didn't go deep enough. But at the same time, there's an astonishing amount of work and research being put into this book. And, reading the reviews and the background of this book, it clearly showed that, especially during the time when it came out, it was very highly regarded as the most detailed work on that kind of topic, and it gave a lot of insight into why certain countries ended up in a democracy and why certain countries ended up in a dictatorship, and what kind of factors supposedly had most of the impact into that kind of decision and progress of a country and its political system. What I also feel is important to mention, this book is 60 years old. And some of the countries that he is talking about, I would especially look at Japan here. So Japan, I believe the political system has changed quite a bit since the mid-60s, late 60s, or even earlier when he began his research. So the important thing to remember here is that countries and their political system is really a work in progress. And a lot of it has changed after he published that book. But even if it is 60 years old, it still gave me quite a lot of insights into what kind of factors that I would never have thought about would have an impact on that kind of decision. So, you know, if you have a strong middle class, what kind of value and what kind of importance agriculture has in your society, how strong the elite and upper class is, you know, how important and how distributed land ownership is and changes over time. Those are all kind of factors and questions that I would not have thought had such a huge impact on the decision of a political system of a country. So it was very insightful for me, although it was very long. I would have preferred it, you know, to be in a concise version of it. It was almost 600 pages, and I feel, you know, just the bullet points would have been enough for me. So, you know, 100-page summary would have been great. But yeah, that's what we read this week. I don't think that any of my viewers would have read this book, but you know, if you did read this book, if you do have more knowledge about that topic and how countries end up in a democracy or in a dictatorship, I would love to know your insights on it. So please let me know in the comments below as well. What's left for us to do now is to find out what the next book in the challenge is that I'm gonna be reading this week. Okay guys, you know how it works. I have my spinning wheel here. We have 331 books left in the challenge. Let's hope we get something good today. And yeah, let's go. 3, 2, 1, let's spin the wheel. I just want a simple novel, something easy to read this week. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Please, 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 please. Don Quixote by, I don't know how to read that name, Cervantes. Another classic. I've never read Don Quixote, so I'm actually looking quite forward to this one. So come back next week to find out how I like Don Quixote. Thank you so much. See you guys. Bye bye.